minutes to 9 Saipan time, Chamorro Standard Time. And even though I'm not physically on Saipan, I figured I'd do a little update. You might have heard the breaking news recently that within the last 24 hours, actually, that Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, who's been in exile for the last 14 years, he was living in Russia at one point, is now free or about to go free. He's and his legal team struck a plea deal with the United States, so he's flying to Saipan, and I believe he's actually on Saipan now, since the hearing is in a few minutes, in about 15 minutes at 9 o'clock Saipan time. So the question comes up, of course, why Saipan? And there's been speculation. So just a little bit of background. WikiLeaks, for those who are not familiar, is a website that prides itself on releasing information that they deem the public should be aware of. And he released some information, or WikiLeaks released some information, that the US government and other governments were not too happy with the release of. And he was pursued and persecuted for doing so, and he fled to and sought asylum in Russia, and for the last 14 years basically he's been persona non grata. So now in 2024, as of June 25th, yesterday, news broke that he struck a plea deal with the US government. He's going to plead guilty to at least one count of espionage, and he's going to Saipan for that hearing. And the question comes up, of course, why Saipan and why not Guam? They're both US territories. Technically, Saipan is a Commonwealth. So I reached out to at least one of my contacts, a person who is in the judiciary, and he, as you might expect, is not at liberty to make any comments on the case as it is ongoing. So we're going to do what people do when there's no hard factual information. We're going to speculate. So people have speculated that the reason that Saipan was chosen and not Guam has to do with the logistics, that on his way ultimately to Australia, which is where he will be heading after the hearing, that Saipan is closer to Australia, and therefore that makes it an ideal location. Personally, the difference between Saipan and Guam, flight-wise, is only about 20 to 30 minutes. So I don't think there would be a logistic reason as to why Saipan would be preferred over Guam. He's flying on a private jet, and the half-hour difference I don't think would make that much, would be that much of a factor. So logistically, I don't think that's the reason. Personally, another reason that was speculated, and this was I got from a reporter on the Saipan Tribune, at the Saipan Tribune, was that it had to do with getting a court date on Guam. Guam, being a larger territory, may have their maybe fully booked in terms of getting a court date. Again, I don't think that that's necessarily the reason, but again, I'm speculating. I'm not a legal pundit. I am not a reporter who does this sort of thing regularly, but I think, if I had to speculate, that the reason is purely legal. Now, Guam is a full-fledged US territory, whereas Saipan is a Commonwealth. And I would speculate, and again, this is merely just speculation, I would speculate that the reason that he might, or that his legal team might have chosen Guam, if in fact they had, the right to request where the hearing would be held, would have to do with his legal exposure. Guam is a full-fledged US territory. There's a military base there. It's been part of the US as a full-fledged territory since the Spanish-American War, whereas Saipan is a Commonwealth, and there's slightly different legal ramifications for that. They're both considered part of the US for immigration reasons, purposes, but I would suspect, and again, if I get conflicting information, or if someone in the comments adds their 2 cents to what they know, I would speculate that the reason that Saipan was chosen over Guam has more to do with legal exposure, has more to do with, as one person speculated, not wanting to be on the mainland US, and that might have to do with the sort of legal exposure, extradition laws. So I believe it would have more to do with the legal aspect of what Saipan represents rather than, as compared to what Guam represents. So that's my speculation. I'm also going to talk to a friend of mine who's a pilot to find out if logistically, in terms of private jet flying into Guam and then onward to Australia, if there's a reason based on FAA regulations, Federal Aviation Administration regulations, as to why Saipan would be a preferred location to take off and land rather than Guam. So that's just my 2 cents. I think it would have less to do with the logistics and the proximity to Australia, which is his ultimate destination, and more to do with legal exposure. Now, if you are more versed, if you're well versed in these matters and want to share your comments in the comment section, definitely please feel free to do that. I'll give further updates later on as I learn more. But as of right now, from what I can tell, the hearing on Saipan should be starting soon. It's at the newly constructed federal courthouse that's on Middle Road in Gualarai. And if you check out, for late breaking news, I would suggest you check out the SaipanTribune.com website and or the Marianas Variety website, mvariety.com. But I'll be doing my bit, to jump on the bandwagon, since I know there are a lot of people who have been my tour clients in the past, a lot of friends I have in the States who, the minute they hear Saipan in the news, I'm their only point of reference, their only human contact on this side of the world. Again, I am in Manila at the moment, so I'm not on Saipan. But as news was breaking yesterday, about 12 hours ago, I was contacted by a news team coming out of Australia, I believe. The Japanese news team coming out of Australia, and they wanted my help to take them around, or pick them up and take them around and give them a little bit of background. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to respond in time. I responded quickly, but they had already made plans. Again, things are happening very quickly on the ground, so I wasn't able to arrange a drive for them. But I suspect that there will be much more coverage of Saipan in the next day or two. The hearing, as I mentioned, will be taking place in a few minutes at 9 a.m. Chamorro Standard Time, and now it's a few minutes to 9 Saipan time. So if you're there on Saipan, you may want to be part of history and check out what you can see. Send me a few photographs, but I will be doing another update in a few minutes as I learn more. So again, Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, who has been in exile for the last 14 years, is now on the island of Saipan, about to plead guilty, as we're told, to at least one count of espionage, and at which point he will be free to leave. I'm not sure exactly what happens after that, if there are further court dates set up, but I felt it was at least my duty to share a little bit of insight I might have into things going on this side of the world. So hope that's helpful for some. I will do another update later on if I get some further information, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.